Hey, welcome to the monthly podcast thing I do called Letterboxd Diaries. Well, that's what I've decided to call it from now on. Basically, I give a run through of what I've been watching throughout the month. Each month, and we go through film by film. The last one I did, I ended on Scream 6 on the 27th of April, so this is for May predominantly, but I have got a couple of bits from the end of April to go through. So we have on the 28th Peter Pan and Wendy. This was okay. It's a live action Disney remake of Peter Pan. A little bit underwhelming. Had a darker tone, which I kind of liked. Captain Hook was pretty cool. I think I've got a review on it actually. If I click on that, it's a 2023 film. Yeah, there's my review. If you can see it. I thought that this new Peter Pan adaptation was alright, nothing spectacular. Captain Hook was fairly great and chewed up some scenery, which he did. Like Jude Law did quite a good job as Captain Hook. Really not bad at all. I like the slightly darker tone compared to other versions. I still prefer Hook personally. Yeah, Hook's a better movie. I'm kind of fed up with live action Disney remakes now, and I'll assume a lot of other movie fans are. Yeah, they do too many now. I mean, they've done which one did they start with? I can't even remember now. Jungle Book, years ago, about 2016, they did the live action Jungle Book, kind of alright. The songs weren't as good as in the animated classic, but you know, it was passable. Then they went on to do like Aladdin and The Lion King and Pinocchio, which I haven't seen, but I just feel like these are getting tiresome now. They're not as good as the classic animations. They're okay sometimes. This was alright, nothing special. On the 1st of May, so we're actually getting into May now, I watched From Black, which is a Shudder exclusive or original. Not too sure. I'll pull it up anyway, regardless. Oh, there's no... Do we get a synopsis? Sorry, I don't use Letterboxd on... there we go. So I watched From Black, which is a Shudder movie. Yeah. As you can see, a young mother who's crushed by guilt and shame after the disappearance of her young son 5 years previously is offered a bizarre opportunity to learn the truth and set things right. Is she willing to pay the terrifying price for a chance to hold her boy again? So she's lost her son, she's having these strange visions and stuff. She starts doing some sort of spells and things, and basically this demon presence comes for her. As you can see in the picture, I'll point the cursor sort of behind her there. You can see the kind of creature peeping out. The effects for the demon were cool. That was about the best bit of the film. I didn't really enjoy it too much. I thought it was alright. Haven't got too much to say on it really as a whole. On the 4th, so I did have a break for a couple of days whilst I did other stuff, I watched Lake Nowhere again, which is a rewatch for me, and it's a fantastic movie from 2014, really authentic. It's made to look like an 80s movie, so it's one of these films that are made to look like they're from a different decade. 2014 again, made to look like an 80s movie, absolutely brilliant. Retro slasher, as I've put there, an epic piece of retro slasher trash. That was my review. Yeah, it's quite trashy. It's about these people who go to stay at a cabin. They're partying and drinking. Before they party, actually, one of them goes down to the lake, sort of out of the way a little bit, and ends up getting sort of pulled under, and you know, you don't see him for a while, and then he comes back all zombified to the house, you know, out of it basically, and starts trying to kill them, which is quite alarming. Things take a turn for the worse. This killer shows up, picking them off one by one. He's obviously a part of some sort of ritual that's brought him back to life. I won't give too many details away because it does show you the little ritual in the film. It shows you how he gets brought back in the movie, but he's got like a wooden mask on, and he's very big and menacing. Sort of got the same, like, similar physique to like Jason Voorhees, very big and stuff, and starts taking them out basically, and one of them manages to survive, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I love Lake Nowhere. It's very short as well. It's about 50 minutes, 48 minutes, so it's very short. It's got like fake trailers on the beginning as well, you know, one of those like what they did with Planet Terror. all the fake trailers and stuff. But yeah, Lake Nowhere, if you've never seen it, go out your way and have a look. Another 2023 film I watched was The Pope's Exorcist, starring Russell Crowe. It was alright. Little bit action packed for my liking, meaning nothing wrong with some good horror action, but I think all the explosions and some of the action carnage took away from the film itself. And what was meant to be like a creepy sort of demonic possession, like Exorcist films, turns into just like action set pieces. There was some good stuff in there, some sort of little frightening bits. I didn't personally find it scary. Sure, some people might, but that's The Pope's Exorcist. I gave that a 3 out of 5, as you can see. Yeah, not bad, worth a look. I watched the classic 1980s movie He Knows You're Alone. Picked up the Scream Factory. Thought I'd give it a go, so I did. Yeah, okay, slasher, thriller sort of thing. Like, you know, it's an stalk and slash. Someone's stalking this woman and they're after her and they're picking off her friends and stuff, and she's about to get married. It was okay. It's got an earlier role from Tom Hanks in it. Sure, a lot of people have seen that. There's the movie poster anyway. Yeah, a reluctant bride-to-be is stalked by a serial killer who only kills brides and the people around them. While her friends get whacked one by one, a hard-boiled renegade cop whose bride has been killed years before tries to hunt him down before it's too late. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I say, it's got Tom Hanks in there in an earlier role. He's not like featured too frequently in the film, but yeah, I thought He Knows You're Alone was alright. Good sort of like little slasher. You know, nothing spectacular. I wouldn't say it's one of the greats either, but it was okay. Then I watched another new 2023 film. As you can see, Renfield, Nicolas Cage as the and forget the other guy's name now. I'll have to have a look at. Is it like Nicholas Hoult? Yeah, Nicholas Hoult plays. I believe he's Renfield. Yeah, just about this guy who's befriended by a vampire and crazy shit happens really. Can't remember too much about that one. I know I didn't think it was amazing. I thought it was alright. That's why I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. That's Renfield. I've not got too much to say about that really. Not bad. Dark Eyes of London, Bela Lugosi movie I watched from 1939. Gave it 3 out of 5. Quite interesting. Black and white one. A little bit slow for my liking. See if I can jog my memory a little. Yeah, so he's like, yeah, insurance agent physician collects on policies of men murdered by a disfigured resident of the home for the blind, where he acts as doctor on call. So Bela Lugosi turns out to be the villain. He's doing dodgy things, and yeah, that's about it really. It was quite cool. I do like the old Bela Lugosi movies. Not exactly my cup of tea. Not the most memorable thing. I gave that a 3, like I said. On the 9th of May, I watched Freaky Again, which is a rewatch. Really good movie starring Vince Vaughn as the killer, and Catherine Newton, who was in Paranormal Activity 4. She's in Paranormal Activity 4. Quite a good actress. Yeah, fun movie. It's basically the concept of Freaky Friday, but with horror, you know, with a horror spin on it. So they swap bodies. Vince Vaughn is the killer. He goes into the young girl's body, and the young girl switches and goes into the killer's body, and it's very funny. Got some great comedic pieces in there. It's really gory for a comedy horror as well. You know, it's got a lot of gore in there. One scene in particular where the woodshop teacher gets brutally murdered is quite gruesome. Yeah, it's a good one. I really like that. Really good. As you can see, I gave it 4.5 out of 5, so nearly a perfect score from me. Just because of how fun the film is. It's just great. On the 9th, I watched 2 Orphan Vampires, so I picked up the Indicator 4K that got released. A fantastic 4K, looks pretty darn good. You know, everything's nice and clean, you know, clean images and stuff. It's a bit of a smoky film, if you will, with smoky visuals. You know, it's got a kind of, it's from 1997, as it says there, and it's kind of got a, you know, it kind of looks slightly, it's not really grainy, but it's got a kind of, like a tint that an older movie would have. So you could, if you wasn't paying too much attention to certain things, you may assume The Two Orphan Vampires is a 70s movie, but the 4K did look nice. It cleaned it up and that. Not that I've watched it on any other format, because this was the first time I watched it. It's about the two sisters who start off in an orphanage and they go out late at night to the graveyard, and there's a dog hanging around, and they want to do more like with their life, and they want to get out of there. A doctor adopts them. They're not too young, they're like teen girls, late teens I think. This eye doctor adopts them because they're blind, because they have a kind of different concept on the vampire mythology. In the daytime they're blind, and then at night time they get their sight back for so many hours and stuff, and then they just go on these little adventures and meet weird people and different ghouls and vampires, and they end up killing people quite reluctantly. Yeah, really good one from Jean Rollin. Yeah, enjoyed that. Gave it 4 out of 5. Rewatched The Whip and the Body because I got the 88 film set. Yeah, great Christopher Lee horror. He gets killed and he's coming back haunting the woman, basically cracking the whip and scaring her. Yeah, it's really good. Really gothic. It's a Mario Bava film. It's got great gothic atmosphere. Not necessarily one of my favourite Mario Bava movies, but it's very good. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Last time I watched it, I think I gave it a 3, but it's gone up in my estimation. I did prefer it slightly on rewatch. That's The Whip and the Body, which I watched on the 11th. Then on the 12th, I watched Evil Dead Rise, which I have given a 4.5 out of 5. It's a 2023 film. Fantastic. This franchise can't go wrong, really. I mean, out of their movies, obviously there's Ash vs Evil Dead, the series as well, but there's 5 films now. So you've got the original Evil Dead, you've got Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead Remake, and Evil Dead Rise, which is a sequel to the remake, right? I'd assume. And it is just fantastic. A blood-soaked ride. It's insane. It's got some good homage to The Shining in there. There's actually a scene where all blood comes out of the elevator. Like what happens in the dream sequence or what have you, the weird ghostly sequence on the Shining. They pay homage to that in Evil Dead Rise. The beginning's great, where someone gets possessed. It shows the beginning of what happened. The ending sets up the beginning of the film. It's weird they do it back to front, but someone gets a drone put into their face and stuff, and it's really gory, and that sets up the tone for the film. And then you go to this apartment, you got the mother with her children. A sister comes to stay with them and see them, who's been on tour and been a guitarist or whatnot, guitar technician from what I can remember. And they find the Book of the Dead, the kids do, when they go out to get pizza. There's been an earthquake or something, and they find the Book of the Dead, and the Deadites get released, and they possess the mother, and she's going crazy and trying to kill her sister and her children. And it just goes from there, and a few of them become possessed by Deadites, and they've got to fight their way out. And they paid homage to the remake from 10 years ago as well in this one. At the end, there's a cool bit where there's the possessed woman and her other 2 children have been possessed. They all combine and form this weird monster creature, Deadite, icky thing. And she puts a chainsaw through them, basically as they're going into an what they called a grinder, as they go into a metal grinder. She puts a chainsaw through them. Really gory. It's absolutely blood soaked. Yeah, I enjoyed Evil Dead from 10 years ago, the 2013 one, but this was just fantastic as well. It's rather linear. It's only about 90 minutes. Characters felt slightly underdeveloped. I thought the sister's a good character, who's the main protagonist. She was good. But the kids and stuff, they felt a little bit underdeveloped, and the mother herself did. But she was good as a Deadite. She was a fantastic Deadite, saying some crazy lines and stuff. Yeah, really fun. A little bit comedic as well. Not too much. More of a serious tone, but it did have some sort of comedic little lines in there that were quite humorous, I thought. On the 14th of May, I watched The Shiver of the Vampires, another Jean Rollin film. Gave that 3.5 out of 5 from 1971. Thought that was pretty decent. Good, like, classic vampire movie. It's about this band of vampires. This couple go to stay in a big house. They've just been married. Just got hitched, if you will. It's their bride's cousin's place, and they've obviously been killed and they've been transformed into vampires. They don't know that. They're introduced to all these vampires, and basically they want to turn the woman into one of them. And the husband tries to prevent this from happening. Yeah, good movie. Oh, here's an interesting one from the 15th of May. Watch the third Saturday in October. I gave this 4 out of 5. Look at that poster. Fantastic. Yeah, this was great. It's a retro slasher, so it's a film from 2022 by Jane J. Burleson. I believe I'm saying that right. It's set in 1979. It's about trying to find the guy's name. Yeah, I can't remember the killer's name, but anyway, the killer's on death row. He gets electrocuted, but he manages to survive. Two of the victims' relatives, one of them being a father and a mother, they club together trying to prevent him from going on a spree. He goes back to the town where he committed the murders, and all these different people it comes together, and they all end up getting knocked off. The kills get more brutal as the film progresses. Some really good special effects in there, good practical effects. It's a retro slasher. It's a bit of a throwback. Like I say, it's made to look like it's from 1979. Thought it fantastic, really, really fun. The third Saturday in October. There's a sequel as well, which I watched, which is from the same year, which I'll talk about in a sec, which I didn't think was as good as that one. I thought the first film was better, but go out and watch the third Saturday in October. You can find it online. There is a DVD released as well from Umbrella, but I think it's quite hard to get, or it might be on pre-order. You can get both films on that DVD from Umbrella. Candle for the Devil, this was good. Watch the 88 Films version. It's about these religious people who run like a boarding house in Spain, and at the beginning it's got this attractive woman. Basically all the guys are looking at her, and she's in a bikini, like sunbathing, and the older lady takes offence to this, accidentally kills her. They move the body, her and her sister. Then the person who's been murdered, her sister comes looking for her, and decides to stay at the establishment too. And it's about this older lady she's not old, but she's like middle-aged sort of, and she keeps like getting mad with like younger women and killing them basically, because they flaunt too much, and they're too on show and stuff. Yeah, it's a good movie, good exploitation flick set in Spain. Did like A Candle for the Devil. On the 17th I watched Alley Cat, which is kind of like a crime thriller sort of exploitation thing. Young woman's fed up with the crimes going on and stuff, and she almost gets burgled, gets her car stolen. She kicks the crap out of the guy. She's a really good fighter. She knows like karate and some kung fu bits, and she starts fighting all these villains and criminals, and this she's after this particular gang of criminals that try to rape a woman, and she prevented it from happening, but the gang of criminals sort of scare the woman into not going to the trial. They scare her so she doesn't go to the trial, and basically try and prevent her from giving evidence. So she decides to do that, and and they're going after her and trying to kill her basically. And there's a really funny part where she dresses up as an old grandma and walks past the criminal's car in the street, but they know it's her. They're like, oh, there she is. Like, she didn't do too good a job of disguising herself. Yeah, pretty cool though. Alley Cat. Gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Didn't enjoy that one. I've got the VSA actually, the Vinegar Syndrome Archive. Happy Hell Night. Was really looking forward to this, from 1992. Watched it on the 18th. Bit underwhelming. Can't remember too much about it really. No, I didn't love it though, that's for sure. I'll read the synopsis. They'll be screaming their heads off. 25 years ago at Winfield College, a psycho priest, Zachary murdered 7 frat boys and was put away in the local asylum. Now, however, the same fraternity stages a prank from which Malleus is inadvertently set free and returns to the house to repeat his crime. So it's about this priest guy, it's a psycho priest as it says, who's basically been summoned from the dead and goes on a killing spree. Didn't think much to it, but I will give it a rewatch sometime. It's one I will give a little bit of a chance for. Another Jean Rollin film I watched on the 18th, Requiem for a Vampire. As you can see, I give it 3 out of 5. I did quite like this movie though. It's very dreamlike and strange, and it's about these 2 girls who sort of live on their own, and they go to this the ruins of this building, and they're confronted by vampires who want to turn them into vampires, and they end up luring men in so they can be killed by the vampires, luring men in with their sexuality and stuff, and so the vampires can get to them. Yeah, it's a good movie. You can tell it's rather low budget. I did like the feel to it. Like I say, it's a bit dreamy and it's set out in the French countryside, sort of, which was kind of cool. Death Has Blue Eyes, watched that. Thought it was alright. Weird exploitation, kind of like psychological, like thriller. Watched the Arrow version, that's pretty cool. And here's a sequel to the third Saturday in October. It's called Part 5. Now, there isn't 5 of these films. They just dubbed it because it's got they slightly did a bit of fun with it. So because with slasher films you get so many sequels, they presented this as Part 5 because at the beginning it has an introduction where it talks about the first film, the third Saturday in October, and then it says all the other films in between this and Part 5 were lost. So really, technically, this is the second film. It's the only other film that's out there in this series. It's presented to you as Part 5 because apparently the other movies got lost. More trashy slasher fun, as I've put there. Nothing more, nothing less. It's set in the 90s, so it's set in 1994 this time rather than 79. Same killer. Fun intro to the film. The effects are really good for some of the kills. There were some good effects in there. One brutally punishing part. Oh yeah, there's one bit where the killer repeatedly stabs the victim in the head for a prolonged period of time, and they literally turn purple. They've been stabbed so much. Yeah, it's pretty gruesome. I did prefer the first film, but it was good nonetheless, and I would like to see more in this series. I know they're a bit more low key and low budget, but they're a lot of fun. On the 20th, I watched Over the Edge, kind of like a coming of age thriller. It was okay. 21, I watched another 21st, should I say. Watched another Jean Rollin film, The Iron Rose. Strange one about this couple who are basically gone on a date and then they end up in the cemetery and they end up trapped there, and the guy's scared and he wants to leave, but the girl seems really enthralled by it, and basically like it's almost like she's a graveyard ghoul and she wants to keep him there, and then at the end he's obviously in one of the sort of tombs, and she goes down to him and just closes the lid and she's in there. It's really quite a bizarre, creepy film actually, that one. Gave that 3 out of 5. Another good John Rollin one there. Quite enjoying his filmography actually. I need to watch more of his stuff, pick up some more editions from him. 21st also, a little bit later on that day, I watched Night Beast. It's been released by Vinegar Syndrome before. Pretty much it's a trauma movie, so you're getting all kinds of crazy fun there. It's rather silly. I quite enjoyed it. It was very trashy. This alien basically turns up and starts like blasting people with his laser, and they turn to like goo and stuff, and it's a little bit gory, rips some guy's head off, and just a load of crazy fun from 1982. That's Night Beast. 22nd, I watched Robert, the doll movie from 2015. I gave that 1 star. Thought it was trash, thought it was rubbish. No offence to people who like it. Sure, some people like it, fair play. I thought Robert was really boring and rubbish. 24th, I watched Wolfpack, had the VSA, which I've now sold because I don't want to keep the movie. I thought the movie was okay. It's basically about fascism infiltrating this school and creating a regime where the jocks are basically becoming fascist and expecting everybody to adhere to what they want and stuff. Quite interesting concept, Wolfpack, but I decided not to keep it. 2 days later, I watched Return of the Living Dead Girls. This was last week on the 26th. Gave it 3.5. Really fun movie. It's about these girls who have supposedly been killed because of this chemical in a product. and cosmetic product, and they come back from the dead, and just basically it's a French film, but it's really like trashy and sleazy, but it's really cool. They just come back from the dead and start brutally killing people, like, and it has this score playing as well, which is really fun. And yeah, there's one part where they actually stick they basically put a blade in a lady's privates, which is a little bit gross, but yeah, it's a cool movie. Revenge of the Living Dead Girls, good trashy fun. Shudder original on the 26th as well, called Influencer, that I watched. To give that 4 stars out of 5. Really cool movie. Don't want to give too much away, but basically it's about this girl who meets another girl who's an influencer. If you per se, somebody basically posts on Snapchat and stuff, and Tumblr and Instagram, and does videos for like online and stuff, and promotes her brand that she goes around touring. She's a tourist, she goes around, and the other girl befriends her, and they end up going to this island because she has a little boat, and she says, I'll take you to this island after they've been to her cool house. But there's something a bit strange about the girl who befriends the influencer, and she's got an ulterior motive. Really good film. Go out and watch Influencer, because I enjoyed it. It's on Shudder at the minute. It's a Shudder original, so it'll be on Shudder for ever, basically, unless Shudder decide to take it down. But it's one of their films, so it'll always be on Shudder. So if you've not got Shudder, that's one worth getting Shudder for. Influencer, really cool film. I'm sure they'll release a Blu-ray of it at some point as well. On the 28th, I watched The Cursed from 1987. That is an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation of The Colour Out of Space. Now, I've seen the Nicolas Cage one. I thought that was pretty fantastic from a few years ago. This is even cooler, somewhat. Don't think the effects were quite as good with it being an older film, but it's got some great practical effects, and chaos ensues, really. This meteorite hits and on a farm, and things start going to shit, starts hitting the fan. It's a great film, The Curse. It's a classic. I'm really glad I haven't picked that one up. Also on the 28th, I watched Lucio Fulci's Murder Rock, also Dancing Death. Great film, great score. It's about these dancers getting knocked off. It's a giallo. They're all being knocked off at this school, and it goes from there, and it's got a twist at the end as to who the killer is, and it's, like I say, great score. It stars Ray Lovelock from Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. Yeah, it's a Lucio Fulci I'd never watched before, but I'd had it in my collection for ages, and I did enjoy it. I thought the score was great. Really fun, like, movie. One thing I will say about it, though, on the slightly, not really negative, but on the slightly sort of critical, is it doesn't have his signature gore, so it's not full of gore. Couple of bloody bits in there, a lot of boobs and stuff like that, and things like that, a lot of naked bodies, but as far as the gore's concerned, it was a little bit toned back for a Fulci film, but it was a great film. It was really good. Also on the 28th, I watched Malum, which is a remake of Night Shift. So the director remade his own film. Obviously he did let's check his name, because I've quite Di Bassi or something, isn't it? Yeah, Anthony Di Blasi, believe he's a Spanish director or something. He did Late Shift in 2014, and so 9 years later he's decided to remake his own film. So this is a remake of the director's own film, so he's got a bigger budget, different actors, and he's remade his own film. I haven't actually seen Last Shift, so I can't comment on that. I would like to watch it, but this was great. Malum, set in a police station. It's about a young police officer. She decides to do a night shift there after her years ago her dad committed some atrocities. He ended up like going mad and murdering with a shotgun a load of other police officers, and she wants to figure out why. She's also followed in his footsteps and become a police officer, so she decides to take a late shift, being the only police officer in the building, and she starts getting weird hallucinations and visions, and there's phone calls, and everything links up to a cult her dad tried to prevent from this cult kidnapped a bunch of young girls, and her dad was a part of the case and sort of got to them and stopped them from murdering some of them. But it's really brutal. It shows flashbacks of what the cult did to some of the young girls. One of them gets their head bashed in, literally head explodes when the baseball bat hits it, and it's crazy. It's got crazy demons, demonic imagery, great special effects. I'd like to watch Last Shift as well, but Malum, really good. I gave that 4.5 stars out of 5. I thought it was fantastic. Blood-soaked nightmare. A lot of hallucinations though and things, so if you're not into your like hallucinatory imagery and nightmarish like visuals, you might not be too keen on that one. But if you like all that sort of thing, it's a fantastic movie. Absolutely brilliant. Malum, yeah. Then, finally, the last one. On the 30th, I watched Ennie's Men, which basically is set in the Cornish countryside. It's a strange one. It's about this woman who's basically taking notes for flowers. She's works in nature, and she's I forget what you call it now. She's researching flowers and like the condition of them and how they change in different environments and stuff. And she's all on her own. It's another hallucinatory film where she keeps seeing hallucinations and piece it together, because I couldn't. It's one of them films that'll keep your head scratching. At the end, you'll definitely go and try and look at people's interpretations of it, because it's a film that's left to your interpretation. Nothing's explained, nothing connects. Basically, you've got to do the connections yourself and put the puzzle together. It's very strange. It's shot really well. The Cornish isolated sort of Cornish little like countryside area that she's living in looked really good. It's quite authentic. It's made to look like a film from the 70s. It's one of those, but it's a bit of a head scratcher, and I didn't really enjoy it too much. I do like ambiguous films, but this was perhaps a little bit ramped up to like too much ambiguity. But yeah, it's worth a watch, Ennie's Men. It's from 2022. It's critically acclaimed. A lot of critics are saying it's great and stuff. I thought it was just okay. I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. That's just my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy that one. I did, and I do like ambiguous things. I just thought Ennie's Men was a little bit underwhelming, as there's not much revelation towards the climax of the film. That's my take on Ennie's Men anyway. There is more to it. I did have the review that I did up on screen. Anyway, that's my Letterboxd diaries this time round. I'll do June in a month's time. That was May. Yeah, that's the end of it basically. That's the little podcast I do. I don't normally show on screen. I don't normally show it on screen, but this time I thought I'd actually do a video and show my Letterboxd profile on screen. Let's see if I can pull up the dude. I hope I've been recording anyway, because I've been talking for bloody ages. So, right, okay, where's the screen recorder gone? That's weird. Oh yeah, I can see it. Sorry, I was faffing about a little bit. I get a little bit distracted. Anyway, I've given you half an hour. There's my Letterboxd diaries. We'll do another one of these. I'm going to start doing more podcast things and talking about film and stuff as well for the channel. Okay.